What is going on? Welcome back to Fanatic Journey. So today we're going to talk to you on Lucid. I want to go over some expectations for this upcoming week, what might cause some volatility in the stock price, where things might be going, everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Always greatly appreciate that. And with that said, let's get right to it. So Lucid did go up 2.26% on Friday, largely piggybacking off the broader market's optimism from the S&P hitting a record high. So that could really help going into next week. But this week is going to be a very volatile week on a lot of different, like almost every aspect of Lucid is going to be volatile. And so I'm going to break it down. So starting off with earnings. So these are all the companies unveiling their earnings for this upcoming week. You do see Tesla after hours Wednesday. And as I've said in the past, good, bad, and the ugly, whatever happens to Tesla will trickle down to the other EVs. And especially with Tesla cutting their earnings time and time again, especially recently in Q4 out in Europe, and then technically just throughout 2023, they've cut numerous times. So for their future guidance for 2024 is going to play a very key part in the EV's success. So if Tesla is hesitant about 2024 in any aspect, that is going to resonate with Polestar investors, Rivian investors, and Lucid investors that have all recently, based on the data points coming out from Q4, have all shown some signs of slowing and demand issues. And I feel like that's even resonated so much more with Lucid investors for a while now. So definitely the fate of EVs in the short term is going to be dictated by Tesla's earnings. But then again, I could be very much wrong. So in reality, that's point number one. That's going to be a lot of volatility for Lucid. Broader market-wise, though, there's two things coming out, and one of which is on Thursday, the 25th, so GDP numbers. Quarter by quarter basis, it is estimated to be around 2%. So if it is better than anticipated, then you're going to see a nice continuation of this rally that Lucid definitely could participate in. If it is a miss for whatever reason, then you are instantly going to see the market turn very red because people are going to associate that with a sense of slowing. And of course, with China's recent numbers that came out, that caused a hell of a lot of volatility. And then on Friday, PCE. So Feds like to use PCE as a true indicator of inflation rather than CPI. So a lot of people are going to associate this information on when the Feds are going to be cutting rates. So if this data is, for instance, good, then you are going to see a lot more optimism about maybe May 2024 rate cuts. If this data is negative, then you are going to see a lot of negativity and people assuming that there is going to be rates coming probably at the tail end of 2024. So two very big indicators that is going to cause a lot of volatility in the broader market, and through that, Lucid is going to get influenced. And finally, another point that is influencing or will influence Lucid is shorts. So shorts have been an interesting aspect of Lucid for a while now, almost since, I guess, beginning of 2022. Shorts did increase 3.66 million shares on Friday. 29.58% of the free float is being shorted. So S&P hit a record high, as did Lucid's short interest. 261.79 million shares overall are being shorted. Cost to borrow minimum is negative. So that does show some signs of manipulation, meaning a broker is out there physically paying people to short Lucid. So this is probably why you've seen the short interest slowly creeping up. A lot of people seem to think that this is Elon just wanting to destroy Lucid. We just have to wait and see. But this is going to be very interesting because going into next week, you do see that there is 0 shares available to be shorted. So that in among itself will cause a lot of volatility because typically companies and institutions that like to lend out shares because they make some pretty good money off of doing that. So what they would do is they would buy Lucid for the intention to lend shares out. So you might actually see some abnormal spikes up, and that is just institutions buying for the purposes of lending out shares. Very malicious behind the scenes, but still, like if you couple a spike up from institutions buying with maybe Tesla earnings, as well as maybe GDP numbers coming out, like that is going to be a lot of volatility. And like I did point out on Friday, the Elliott Wave technicals for the first time in almost like 2 months is showing some signs of optimism. It is pointing to it going to $3. I know it's not a huge run up, but baby steps. So once again, the technicals going into this week is somewhat optimistic. Looking at options though, very bearish. So $1.88 million in calls being purchased versus 16 million in puts. Sentiment wise from Friday, 59% of all the options being done on Friday were bearish. And of the call options that are being purchased, it is anticipated for it to be above roughly about 250. So optimism is kind of thrown out the window somewhat. But aside from that though, looking at the puts, it is anticipated for it to be sub $2. So not really much going on there. Of course, the previous Elliott Wave technicals did point a low of around $1.80 for that. So who knows if that will hold true or not. Clearly Lucid has been getting the attention of some institutions over the last 2 days, especially as it did bounce off of a very strong support twice. So in theory, that's where usually it will go up in the short term at least. But these are some of the transactions that have occurred on the secondary market above $100,000. So last one was 5.28 million, or I guess that was a big one on Friday. Even after hours on Friday though, there was a lot of activity. And normally for a Friday after hours, it's kind of dead. So that's interesting. Some points to really watch for going for this upcoming week. With it at 271, it is currently trading between this S3 and this S2. So 273 is going to be a very strong resistance that you'll want to watch for it to get above. And hopefully the momentum from Friday will carry over, causing it to get between this S2 to this S1. And maybe with some positive data, it'll actually push it a little bit higher to this S1 and the pivot. So just take note of a lot of these strong support and resistance levels. If it does break below this S3, then anticipate the previous Elliott Wave technicals to hold very true, and then maybe $1.88-ish will be kind of coming true. So a lot of volatility, like I said, coming from short. That in among itself is very interesting. There's also Tesla earnings and just the broader data points coming out. So this upcoming week will be very, very interesting. And as far as specific stuff from Lucid to come out, or that is anticipated, oddly, I don't see anything. So under Lucid's website, under the events, it doesn't show anything. So you do see previous events. A lot of people have said that I'm doing things wrong, and I just wanted to show you guys. So as you can kind of see right at the very bottom, events, you click on events and you get this. So as far as right now, I see absolutely nothing. So hopefully this is something that they really do fix in 2024. It's just their marketing, because I get word of mouth and technically test drives are relatively cheap forms of marketing, but clearly whatever Lucid is doing right now, like I feel like in their heads they have to think it's a fail. So even their website, why is there no events? I get times are tough and whatever else, but you need to, like, if your way of marketing right now is word of mouth, how can you be doing absolutely no events? Like, that's flawed. So again, that's just my critique on potentially something that they need to fix on 2024, or I guess in 2024. Let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Give yourself a shout out. Have you been buying? Have you been selling? What have you been doing with Lucid? Even though I have stated in the past I'm not going to be buying anymore, I did sell some puts at $3. Obviously it closed below $3, so I did get, I think, 300 more additional shares. So that's kind of the advantage of selling puts. For those of you that don't know options, highly suggest in researching them, because they can be very beneficial in the long term, especially for stocks that you do genuinely like. With all that, don't forget to hit that thumbs up. One final thing I just wanted to share with you, take advantage of this promo. Simply sign up for an account with Moomoo, throw $100 at it, and you get 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. So this is one of the best deals in the market. Link in the description below and also comments. With all of that said, appreciate all of you watching.